In this video, I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the marketing middleman. And some of this is covered certainly throughout the textbook, but in chapter 4, particularly on the marketing component of the food dollar. You should have gotten this. But I just wanted to take a couple minutes to sort of reintroduce it as we're thinking about Module 4. We're talking about the intermediaries, and we're essentially talking about everyone between the agricultural stage of the system to consumers. Now, within this module, for the purposes of this course, I pulled out retailers, and we'll talk about that in Module 5. But essentially, an intermediary is just anyone in the middle of this in the system. So we're essentially looking at middlemen. And if you think about the last time you ever heard about someone mentioning the middleman, I'm guessing that you heard them talk about eliminating the middleman. There's this kind of negative perception, or what we call a middleman bias, that the middleman is someone who's sort of in the way, someone who's taking a cut of your profit that maybe you should be getting. And the idea, or the commercials that we hear on TV, talk about how, hey, we've eliminated the middleman so we can offer you a lower price. Now, the issue that I want to bring up is the fact that when we have a very efficient system, everyone in that system is doing something of value. So if we think about all the different components of this ag marketing system, all the functions that are being provided, all the functions that are being performed, there's a cost to that. And we saw that concept in this this visual that was in the textbook. It's Exhibit 4.11 in Chapter 4, and we're looking at what a food dollar paid for in 2006. And the idea is that the farm portion of this is relatively small. About 19 cents of every dollar goes to the farmer or the producer, while the marketing bill, which encapsulates all these costs for labor, packaging, transportation, energy, make up about 80% of every dollar that you end up spending on food. Now, over time, as we as consumers have demanded increasing convenience, additional packaging, if you think about the foods that we consume, we're consuming packaged foods that are combining lots of different things. They're very convenient. All we have to do is throw them in the oven or throw them in the microwave, and they're ready to go. So there's a lot of value, a lot of utility that's been added to it, and there's a lot of costs associated with doing that. So that's why we have a very large proportion, or at least an increasing proportion, of every dollar spent on food ends up going towards the marketing or the functions or the utilities that have been added. So what marketing's task is to essentially convert society's needs into profitable opportunities. So we saw that there was a need for consumers, or that consumers were willing to pay for convenience. So what did we do? We went back to this marketing system, added some additional processing to those original food products, and made very convenient products. Now, while doing that, we ended up adding some additional packaging, adding some additional labor, possibly transportation costs. So this marketing portion has gotten bigger. But if we think about all these different components to our system, whether they're assemblers or brokers or processors, everybody has a function. And if we think about the different functions, or in economics we call them utilities, just values that somebody's providing, we can categorize them as form, time, place, and possession utility. Now, in the beginning part of this module, in Chapter 9, we're talking about place and time aspects. That's really adding those place and time utilities, making those items available for consumers when they want them and where they want them. We'll see the idea of food miles, and that we're transporting our food very far distances come up in this chapter. So that covers what I wanted to introduce here, and we'll see you online.